Hey friends, and welcome to my Superbooth 2026 recap video. In this video I want to speak with you a little bit about cool setups that I found, but also some of the magic that hides between the gear. More on that later. But yeah, overall Superbooth was, as always, pretty amazing, overwhelming, loud, crazy, and with a lot of gear to experience. And this time I try to focus a little bit on what cool setups I found performance-wise. Let's start off with Erica Synths and the Hexdrum plus their Resonant Filterbank. It's a really cool reminder that sometimes you don't actually need that much for a performance, like a drum machine and a filter bank can totally do the trick. And I've always thought about it like, okay, you need drums and then you need some melodic elements, but actually if you use a resonant filter bank to create these atmospheres, harmonics to play along with the drum sounds, that actually works quite nicely and it gives you really cohesive sound and a lot of options performance-wise. So I think for techno, I mean, you can hear it, it sounds pretty good. Then Fabian, who I was traveling with, Fabian Laute, shout out, we went to the Polyend booth and checked out Drums, the new drum machine. What I liked about it was that it was actually quite intuitive. So you have all the performance right at hand and still there is a little bit of depth to the machine. So for example, you have an octatrack crossfader, which is really cool. You can map different effect settings to it and then jump between different effect states, which is nice for performance. You can also use synth sounds, but also samples, same as on the TR-1000. And yeah, it's just an extremely fun performance machine, but 2,600 euros, it's not for me. Then we moved on to one of my highlights, which I, before the trade show, already had pretty high up on my list of things I wanted to see, which is the Katla synthesizer by Genki Instruments. They are, I think, an Icelandic company and they make the synth out of lava rock. Maybe you've heard about it. I've heard some amazing sounds online, so I wanted to check it out. And I mean, hear for yourself, it sounds really, really beautiful. I like about the synth that it has really cool modulation, flexibilities, hands-on controls, and yeah, as I said, just a great sound overall. However, I have to say that I wasn't a very big fan of the filter sound. Somehow the filter for me didn't catch the vibe of, for example, a Moog filter, and if a device costs like 5,000 euros, which this one does, I would have expected the filter to sound a little bit better. However, overall, totally great sounding synth. Again, will I get it? No, it's just out of my price range, not for 5,000, but let's see where they push this sound engine. Maybe they make an affordable version. I would really love that because it's a super playable synthesizer that is a lot of fun. Very great variety of sounds to create with it, and it just matches my style of sounds, this warm analog feeling that I love. So yeah, let's see, maybe there comes a more affordable version. Then I met up with Iftah. You know Iftah, if you know my channel, he's the creator of Sting 2 and many, many other amazing devices. And he showed me his two newest devices coming out this summer, which is Driprog and Field Spectrum. And speaking about setups, these are actually a really cool setup for field recordings because both tools are, by the way, also optimized for visually impaired people, which I think is really nice. And they make just a great bundle for very, very long field recording sessions. So for example, Driprog is an open source DIY recorder that records at 192 kilohertz, 24-bit, and can also do ultrasonic recordings with the right microphones, which is, I think, really cool. And it's also meant to be left in a tree for hours to record birds, for example. So you just put it in a bag somewhere that it's protected from humidity, and then just leave it there for hours and record birds or other wildlife. And then once you have the hour-long recording, you can then just use field spectrum for the analysis of the recorded material, giving you deep insights into the spectral content, but also it has an offline audio classifier that analyzes your content and then says to a probability of 80% this is a bird, to a probability of 70% this is a dog, and there's 60% human voice in the recording. So it's actually really cool and gives you a very nice analytical overview of what you actually have captured. So shout out again Iftah for being so creative and making all these awesome tools, and apologies for the video. It was very hard to record because doing screen recordings with a phone in the bright sunlight. I hope you could see something, but yeah, I think it gives you kind of like an idea of what these devices are. Then I moved on to the Neuzeit Instruments booth and checked out their drop controller. It's already on my list of gear to get for actually quite some time, and I think I'll now finally pull the trigger because this thing is just awesome. It's a MIDI controller, but you can map it in such flexible ways. You can map the encoders to, I think, up to 8 different locations. You can basically have different layers of mappings. So all the 8 faders can have up to 8 mappings, which gives you a total control of 64 mappings, which is pretty amazing. A lot of performance-oriented stuff. You have these snapshots that you can create for transitions. It's just an extremely flexible device to use, and it works great with both software-oriented setups and completely DAW-less modular setups, which I think is a big plus, because whenever I want my setup to be mapped, I want that it works both on kind of like the Ableton side, but also for my Moogs. And this one seems to tick all the boxes. So really cool stuff. I had a very nice session together with Jan. If you know him, Jan Ritter, amazing live act. He played some even a little bit raves at Neuzeit Instrument booth, which was very fun. And Jan has built this crazy setup. I also recorded a video with him, which will come sometime in the next weeks. I'll need to see when I can edit it. And he uses 2 drop controllers. And yeah, he just inspired me a lot to get more into controllers, because right now my setup, I have to feel I do a lot of clicking and changing menus, and this is just very immediate and playable. And once you've mapped it, it works, and that's something I've been looking for a long time, so this definitely was one of my highlights. And then again, there was some incredible live music, like Lil Lily's set at Valkata on Friday. She absolutely smashed it, and the performance was just great. Also, we had Megan Leber playing an amazing ambient techno, and then again ambient live set on Saturday, and of course the closing set of Tune Girl and Colin Bender's just awesome energy, and just showed me again how many cool things can happen when you just put 2 artists together on stage and they just jam, having a really good time and just play live music. And this is something I really want to do more in the future, playing live with other people. So yeah, thanks for the inspiration. And then I had 2 personal highlights. One was at the day I was speaking with Iftah about bird recordings a lot. On our way back with the bike from the Superbooth area, Fabian and I drove through this forest area in where the Superbooth actually is. And it was in the middle of the night, and there were actually suddenly 2 nightingales communicating with each other. One sitting on the left side of our path and one on the right side. And I mean, listen, it just sounded so cool. And we stopped there for a moment and just listened. Fabian took out his stereo field recorder to also record it, because yes, we are nerds. It was just such a magical moment. Just be there, appreciate the nature in the complete darkness of the night. Hearing these 2 birds sing was just a little bit surreal, I have to say. And then on the second day, Fabian and I had a really magical jam in our hotel room, because we were all the time thinking, how can we hook up our gear together? How can we make a little bit of music? And then Fabian just pulled out his acoustic guitar, started to play, and I just picked my Move and started to play some pads along it. First, just with the speaker from the Move, but then we thought, okay, how far can we push this setup? And then we started to put everything together. Fabian created a session in AUM, which is a really nice recording software for the iPad, and then set up some reverb there, a little bit of mixing, routing both devices in. Then we sent this signal to my iRig, and then from there to my iPhone to be able to record it. And the session was just amazing. Like, it was magical. It was these two devices, such a little setup, and so much room, so much sound. It was just so cool. I've never thought of pairing the Move with an acoustic guitar, but it just works so well. Fabian and I already said we need to play a live set like this in the next couple of weeks here in Cologne, which we definitely planned. The session is, by the way, also up here on YouTube. I'll link it somewhere here, and yeah, you can have a deeper listen, but it was really a magical moment. But as I said in the beginning, this video should not only be about the gear, but also about the magic that hides between the gear. The connections with people, the conversations, the spontaneous booth raves, and also magic moments like listening to nightingales communicating with each other in the middle of the night, in the middle of a forest, is just something surreal. And moments like this can be found everywhere around Superbooth if you look closely. The problem for me was that in the last years I was so obsessed with checking out the latest gear, going through my list of things that I desperately wanted to see, where I wanted to shoot videos about, and just rushed from stop to stop, and yeah, just didn't give myself the option to really drift away and go down a path that opened for me out of a conversation or out of a moment. And I said, no, I have to go to the next thing, which actually made me not stumble across so many magic places than I did this year. Because these magic things, they only happen when you start to walk a little bit off the path. And yeah, this is what I did different this year, and I couldn't be happy about some of the things that I've experienced. So I guess this is a life lesson. Thanks for that, Superbooth. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll very soon see you again for a new one. Till then, stay creative and bye-bye.